Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Astrology Today. My name is Mel Rose, and I'm here to share your daily aspects. Today is March 1st, 2022, and the sun is in Pisces today with Jupiter and Neptune, which are Pisces co-rulers, also sitting in Pisces right now. So these Pisces vibes are really strong, and the sun really shines a spotlight on them. Sun in Pisces with Jupiter and Neptune is a time of expanded inspiration, hope, anticipation, and creativity. And on reflection, I realize it can be a little bit scary to let the imagination loose in our outer lives. Some anxiety can come up regarding when we will see the reward for the risks we're taking. Jupiter's aphelion coming up, I think on Thursday or Saturday, says that the fruit of our efforts may be delayed a little, but the Sun sextile Uranus today invites us to let the most imaginative parts of ourselves out to play. We can and will generate positive results from it. And the moon is nearly new. It starts the day in Aquarius and makes ingress into Pisces. The new moon is tomorrow, so really we count the new moon and the full moon for about 3 days. Today is an appropriate time to start celebrating this sort of clean slate energy, to tie up any loose ends and, finish up pushing out the stuff that no longer works for us so that we can sort of consecrate, appreciate our clean space from which we can begin our creative cycle again. And moving from Aquarius into Pisces, we take this sort of outward view toward helping out in the community and being the rising tide that lifts all boats, more to an inward place of being emotional and creative and imaginative and sort of allowing our intuition to guide us at this time. I'm going to get right into the aspects, but I want to let you know that there's a legend on the side here. All of the symbols that are on the page today are in the legend, so if you need a key to help you out, there it is. Otherwise, I'm just going to say that I have divided the page into 2 columns, one for each of our luminaries. Now, the moon sheds light on our inner lives. This is who we are on the inside, the relationship we have with our body, our heart, and our mind, those things we think, feel, know, and intuit. And the aspects and transits that the moon makes have more to do with those things that we think, feel, know, and intuit, as well as those things that happen in our home, in our domestic life. So that's the stuff that's sort of private, personal on the inside, doesn't necessarily have to be expressed in the outer life. And then the sun represents our outer life. It sheds light there on our work, social, and civic spaces. So it has to do with who we are in those spaces. And I address the sun and the rest of the planets on the side because these aspects tend to take longer and they have more to do with who we are in those work, social, and civic spaces. As I said, with the waning crescent, nearly new moon, we're still in release mode, and we can also begin to set intentions. And especially with the new moon in Pisces, it's really a creative time. Like, dream big and allow your intuition to tell you what can be in terms of your goals this month. Okay, and we start with the moon today, Central Standard Time, friends, at 2:53 in the afternoon. The moon makes ingress to Pisces. That's the only lunar signature today, so it really has just to do with the shift out of Aquarius and into Pisces. And if I look at this, moon made its last aspect at 8:01 last night, so that's well over 12 hours, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. That's another 18 hours void of course. Hours. Void of course. So this is always, of course, the good time to be involved in your intuitive practices, your journaling, whatever your creative practices are, whatever it is that you're working on creatively. That void, of course, moon is really kind of in between effects from Aquarius or Pisces. And so you have a little more access to your inner life there, is how I would define it. And then on the sun side of the page at 11:05 in the evening, the sun makes a sextile with Uranus, which I already mentioned. This is really the time, this is really the sign that asks us to let our freak flag fly. So, the sun is your outer life. It's who you are out in the world when interfacing with people outside your home. This sextile is a positive vibration. It is generative and dynamic. It creates positive outcomes. And then Uranus is your planet for wanting to make changes and shifts to sort of improve your own experience. So it's a great time to, really dive into that creative and intuitive space and allow people to see you a little bit better, especially, the stranger parts of yourself. Try something new, and you might learn something about yourself in doing so. I love that. I love that aspect. I love it when it comes around. Makes me want to dress up in a wild costume and take myself to work or downtown. Okay, and then in the ongoing column on the sun side of the page, we have Venus conjunct Mars. And reflecting on this, we've been dealing with it for a couple of weeks now, and we'll be dealing with it for a few more weeks. Venus in conjunct with Mars, this is, our receptive, loving nature, the part of us that desires things, the part of us that is attractive and has pulling power, the part of us that receives. And then Mars is really more the part of us that is assertive, that wants to take action, that wants to move forward, that doesn't have time to waste on, on necessarily politeness or standing on ceremony. Mars just wants to act. So here we are with this amplifying aspect, conjunct, really they're right next to each other, or really quite right on top of each other right now in the sky. If you get up in the morning to see Venus, you'll see Mars right there too. And so the effect is that they sort of are said to brighten one another, and so it amplifies the effects of both our receptive nature and our assertive nature. And so this is a combination of action and desire. It is a combination of the physical and the emotional self, and this brings us really strong creative power. It's like we know what we want and we know how to get it. So that's great. Especially these are in Capricorn right now, so that's about the work that we have to do, especially in our partnerships. And that can be your workplace partnership, that can be your romantic partnership, or any other partnerships you're engaged in right now. But Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and that's very much about that structural integrity, those foundations that we rely on for support and validation, and our responsibility to maintain that. And in light of me saying that, remain focused on your partnership goals, okay? Because this is very much partnership goals and the work that we have to do there at this time. So hopefully by now you have had the conversations with your partners and really made it clear like what you want to see created out of the partnership, in the short term or the long term. And you can be focused and in good communication with your partners and moving toward those partnership goals. And then also through at least the 20th, which will be spring equinox, Jupiter is in this sextile condition with Uranus. Now, Jupiter is in its home sign of Pisces. Jupiter is at home in Pisces and in Sagittarius. Jupiter is at home in Pisces, and this really is about expansion. It's about positivity, good fortune, and experiences that grow our understanding of the world and who we are in it. So, Jupiter is in this sextile, again, very positive, likely to generate a good outcome position, again, with Uranus, just like the sun is. And so that's about those shifts and changes that we are awakened to and can make to just get our lives going in the direction that we would like to see them going. it's an opportunity to turn over a new leaf. And I was reflecting on this earlier, and it really made me think of, a few weeks ago when we had the Seven of Swords, and there was a little bit of like a deceitful air about it, and a little warning, like if you have to deceive, don't do it too much, don't do it for no reason. If you've been living a life, or if you have, in some part of your partnerships, like maybe your workplace partnership with your employer or something, had to engage in some kind of deceit or felt the need to do so, this is a good time to think about turning over that new leaf and, consider an expanded possibility of who you are in that space and in that partnership, and, come clean and live an honest way in that partnership and in that paradigm that you're in. The rewards will be big when you make positive changes. So if there's anything about the way you're living right now that feels stifling, or feels like you're repressing yourself, or you're not giving your best, now's the time to make the change if you want to make the world a better place. So now's the time really to make the change, and it'll generate positive, good fortune outcomes for us all. And then coming up tomorrow, we will have the new moon in Pisces. Again, a beautiful clean slate from which to begin planning our short-term goals and our long-term goals again. And also tomorrow, Mercury will make this conjunct with Saturn. So it's a conversation that we'll be having, and the plans we'll be making surrounding our stability, our ability to support ourselves and our loved ones, and our responsibilities and our duties as well. And then coming up on Thursday, Mars and Venus will both conjunct Pluto. So if it feels like you're going through some changes in your major partnerships, that's no joke, because Pluto is all about transformation, evolution, deep and total changes, not just these little shifts you can make to make things go a little bit better for you, but the stuff that just turns your whole life over, changes your entire perspective. And when you're moving forward as a new person, or in this context, perhaps as a new partnership. And then also on Saturday, the sun is going to make a conjunct with Jupiter. So that's going to be an intensification of these expansive good fortune vibes in the sign of Pisces. Beautiful, beautiful good fortune day. I would say that would be the time, if you were playing the lottery, to buy yourself a ticket. And then also on that day, Jupiter is going to reach its aphelion. And aphelion is its farthest distance in its orbit around the sun from the sun. So Jupiter will be at its farthest point from the sun. And that really just says that the effects may be a little bit delayed. We may not see them come immediately. We might feel like we're out here letting our freak flag fly and making these positive changes, and like, where's the fruit? I don't see it yet. It's coming. And then also on Saturday, Mars and Venus are both going to make ingress to Aquarius. So we're going to be out of this Capricorn work vibe, still in a very Saturn vibration, because Saturn rules Capricorn and Aquarius, and Saturn is currently in Aquarius. So still related to the work that we have to do, and our responsibility and our structural stability, but more of a broad view, less of a nose down, push, and more of a back up and take a look and do some management of how things are moving forward. And then also on Saturday, Venus will make another conjunct with Mars, where they are right together, right on top of one another. So they had been growing close to each other, and now they're going to be perfectly linked up right there on Saturday. All right, so those are the aspects today. And if you're still with me here 14 minutes in, why don't you go ahead and give my video a thumbs up, like my video, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell. I post every day. And if this resonates with you, and you think it might resonate with somebody else that you know who loves astrology, or could maybe just, appreciate the support that comes from knowing that they're not alone in what's going on here, because we're all going through it, go ahead and share it with a friend. I appreciate that. And also, if you have any questions, or if anything comes up for you while you're watching this, please feel free to leave a comment in the comments section below. I would love to hear from you. So at this point, I'm going to shift to talking a little bit of tarot. First, we're going to talk about the tarot card on the side of the page, and then we're going to go ahead and get into some tarot. I'm going to lay a card down for today. So the card on the side of the page has changed. This is the card that represents the sun's, the second 10 days of the sun's transit through Pisces. So sun's transit through Pisces takes about 30 days. They divide that into 3, and you get 3 10-degree portions of the year. And so this is the second 10-degree portion of the sun's transit through Pisces. And this card is the 9 of Cups. So, we had the 8 of Cups before, and, there was a conversation about, sort of having to walk away from an emotional investment that we made, or, an investment we made on intuition or a hunch, or a creative investment that we made that we put a lot of ourselves into. And we, it just didn't turn out to be what we wanted or needed from it. So then we have to sort of abandon the project and move on to bigger and better things. And to me, that's a sign of emotional strength. Now we're in the 9 of Cups. And so having had that emotional strength, we have achieved this level of comfort, of emotional, intuitive stability. We trust our emotional selves. We trust our intuitive selves. We're sort of living in a sort of luxurious lifestyle. We have some nicer things now when it comes to our emotional investments, our intuitive investments, and our creative investments. There can be a little bit of smugness that comes with this. If you take a look at this guy, he looks pretty satisfied with himself, and that's what that's meant to convey. Cups are water, so that's emotion and intuition and creative capacity. And we have been going through this expanded creative capacity and this expanded flow of inspiration. So, having left behind the 8 cups, which were not enough, now we've got the 9 cups, which seems to be really enough, or the beginning of enough. And we feel a little satisfied, but possibly also a little bit smug. And with that comes the warning to not take the gifts that you've been given for granted, okay? Even if you worked for them, even if this is your emotional and creative and intuitive investment, don't take it for granted. All right, so that is the 9 of Cups. And now I'm going to go ahead and mix up these cards a little bit more while I go ahead and remind myself and the cards that the sun is in Pisces today, as are Pisces co-ruling planets, Neptune and Jupiter. And that makes the Pisces creative vibes very intense. And we have this expanded capacity for creativity and inspiration at this time. It brings in a lot of, sort of hope, even, and anticipation of the rewards to come after we have made our emotional and intuitive and creative investments. And the moon is nearly new, starting in Aquarius today and moving into Pisces this afternoon. This is the time to finish up letting go of whatever you needed to let go of, drop the stuff off at the thrift store, and then come back and, give your clean slate a nice little polish and appreciate it for a moment before you start setting new intentions on it. Venus conjunct Mars is forever on our hearts and mind right now. We've got this beautiful, powerful combination of action and desire, the physical plus the emotional. When you combine those things, you create like gorgeous things. And it makes me think of like dancing or sculpture, things that are kinetic and involve movement as well as creativity. And Jupiter sextile Uranus really just puts us in a position to make changes with, sort of intuitive speed and grace, and to see positive things come out of the beautiful possibilities that are being presented to us. And Sun sextile Uranus says, "Let your freak flag fly, friends. All right, get creative. Show off your your scary, strange little self to the world a little bit, and see who's receptive, and if nothing else, you might learn something about yourself in terms of what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with. We have this beautiful 18 hours void, of course. That's going to be all morning and through to almost 3 p.m. this afternoon. So if you got some time to spend with your intuitive practices, with your meditative practices, it's a great time to do that. And then the moon is moving into Pisces, which is a meditative, spiritual, and artistic time for about 2.5 days here. That's the time of this transit before it goes out of Pisces into Aries. So, it's great to be meditative, spiritual, and artistic at this time when we're setting our intentions and making our goals for the coming months. All right, and with all of that said, I'm going to turn this card. Oh, friends, the star, one of my favorites. First of all, the whole reason I bought this deck of cards was this picture, which was a picture that hung on the wall in my father's house the whole time I was growing up. And I had no idea that it was a tarot card. So I'm very familiar with this image. And it's funny because even though I didn't know it was a tarot card and I didn't really know much of anything about tarot cards for the longest time, this card always communicated what it was supposed to, which is sort of hope and a new dawn. So the star in context, it's a major arcana card, so it indicates sort of major shifts and life changes. Okay, we've got these major stuff going on right now. It comes after the tower. So the tower is this moment of kind of disaster where everything falls apart. And, fortunately or unfortunately, for better or worse, that's just something that happens in life, that occasionally, we build things up to a point where they must topple over and fall apart, and we have to rebuild. And the star is the beginning of the rebuilding. It's the new hope. It is the time when we are both practical, but also feeling and imaginative and creative, and we learn to work within the context of the practical and the feeling and creative or imaginative, which to me is very Venus conjunct Mars kind of vibe as well. So taken in context with the Nine of Cups, just having gotten into the Nine of Cups here, it really does represent like a new hope and the benefit that one receives from from having gone through that Eight of Cups situation where we were disappointed and we had to abandon some creative or emotional investment we had made. When we had to walk away, perhaps there was a tower moment, perhaps there was not. Maybe it was a big tower and maybe it was just a little tower. But having had to walk away, we were able to pursue and find new satisfaction in the form of like a bigger vessel to hold our emotional and creative power. So to me, these work really well together. Just in that this is the new hope following the sort of disappointment, and this is the new hope following the disappointment. So, this is a card that says, these are both cards that say, have faith in yourself and, enjoy the benefits of what you have learned, even knowing that there is still work to do. Okay, and that's pretty much all I have to say about that today. I sure appreciate you all for being here. My name is Mel Rose, and I will see you all back here tomorrow for more Astrology Today.